Guys, I hope you're ready for this one because it's about time. We have the evidence. We have the video evidence. Somebody sneaked in a video. They caught the Democrats in the shadow government of what they've been trying to do, guys. It is bad. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have exposed corruption not only in the Democrats, but in the Republicans, guys. These rhinos about a shadow government that is happening behind the scenes. And not only that, this shadow government is being funded by foreign countries. The left Democratic regime, I'm serious, like this to me is a sense of treason. I mean, you're being funded by another country to overtake or disrupt or hinder your own country's president. To me, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. This to me sounds borderline treason, what I'm about to tell you. Representative Laura Friedman, a Democrat from California, admits on video that House Democrats are meeting every single week behind the scenes with left-wing attorney generals to employ lawfare against President Trump's agenda. And not only that, they have uncovered over $100 million in foreign dark money laundered into the U.S. political system via the 1630 fund, pushing far-left initiatives in 25 states. Guys, this is bad. I'm about to show you the receipts. We are seeing lawfare, corruption, exposure in reality in real time, guys. This is a sitting representative, Laura Friedman, who has admitted that House Democrats are meeting every single week behind the scenes with left-wing attorney generals to employ lawfare against Trump's agenda. And they have uncovered over $100 million in foreign dark money laundered through 1630 fund, pushing far-left initiatives in 25 states. If that is not borderline treason, I don't know what is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, guys. I got the receipts to show you. This is big. I think people need to be held accountable. We got Congress right now who are talking about it and the corruption that is so prevalent and what needs to happen next, guys. But on the flip side, because I got to bring you some great news, guys, Trump's new approval rating is at 54%, baby. Because guess what? With all the deals that are on the table right now with the tariffs, 130 countries out of the 180 are close to making a deal. And Trump came out and said verbatim that we have a chance that the money from the tariffs will be so great that it would replace income taxes. This is putting America first. This is taking care of American citizens. No person making under $150,000 a year would pay taxes, and that goes for those no taxes on Social Security, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. This is what we're talking about. Trump is able to negotiate trade deals with 130 countries that is almost going to cover our entire income tax, guys. Is that not a win for America, baby? Let's go. Guys, we got so much good news to show you today because, again, when we expose the evil and the darkness, America wins. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want to serve you guys. We want to take care of you every day with the top news. We bust our butt to give you the best show possible, and we hope that you appreciate it and you value it. We want to give some love to our members of the channel. Remember, on the 22nd of every month, we donate live on stream, and we've donated tens of thousands of dollars live on stream. When you support us through a membership or through Super Chat, we take that and we donate it to a local charity. And I want to give some love to Elaine Demeen. Y'all show Elaine some love in the chat for the Super Chat. Guys, we are doing some big things with this channel, and I love it because when you share it, when you like these videos, we are getting the truth out there. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, this is huge right now. What I'm showing you, and we're going to get into this, a new study has uncovered over $100 million in foreign dark money laundered into the U.S. political system via 1630 fund. And it doesn't stop there, guys, because right here, we have the evidence to show you that even the rapid response team from the White House, right here, this is the White House, posted that this representative has admitted that House Democrats are meeting every single week behind the scenes with left-wing attorney generals to employ lawfare against President Trump's agenda. We have caught the corruption, and we're going to expose it, and this is only the beginning, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, in the chat, please.
He's a good fighter when he sees one.
How did you enjoy the fight?
I thought it was great. I thought they were all great. Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever witnessed that?
No,
first time. Something, right?
Yeah.
First time.
Five.
Those are seriously tough people.
Any of the fighters say anything to you?
Yeah, they all said. Every one of them came up at the end, and they were great. I mean, they're all warriors. You know, they're modern-day warriors.
What did you tell them, sir?
Just good fight. I mean, the ones, they all came up, every one of them. You saw that. And very respectful of the office.
Trump took a bullet and said, fight, fight, fight. You know what he's about.
Let's go.
Afterwards, he got on Air Force One and had his granddaughter, Kai, meet his favorite opponent.
You know the fake news? This is the fake news.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How are you guys? Good morning.
The fake news turned the Oval Office into the Octagon today. And you won't believe who they were fighting for. Remember the MS-13 gangbanger that the media calls a Maryland dad? Well, he got deported, and now CNN wants him back.
You said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no credibility.
Yep, the press is fighting to have gangbangers smuggled back into the country. And if they're not smuggled back in, they're calling it a constitutional crisis.
Wow.
Mr. Kilmore Garcia, who broke into the country under Barack Obama, was arrested in 2019 in the company of other ranking MS-13 gang members. Homeland Security called him a verified member of MS-13. And 2 immigration judges upheld that he was MS-13. A judge thought Garcia was so dangerous, he denied him bond and called him a flight risk. The reason he wasn't deported earlier was because Garcia's attorney convinced the judge that if he was sent back to El Salvador, a rival gang would kill him. Sounds like a gangbanger to me. Trump designates MS-13 a terrorist organization, and we're not just going to let foreign terrorists, gangbangers, hang around, so we shipped them home. So the MS-13 lawyer sues, and this little district judge, Boasberg, says he wasn't supposed to be sent back to El Salvador. He can be sent back to any other country in the world except El Salvador. It's his home country. Boasberg says you have to turn the plane around. And the Supreme Court was like, no. Boasberg, butt out.
It's very arrogant, even, for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens. A district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the president could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13. And I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children.
CNN doesn't want to be neighbors with MS-13.
Did you hear what Steve Miller just said? He literally said the CNN wants these people in the country so that they can go kidnap women and children. Guys, this is getting heated. Like, this is getting intense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because that's a big statement to make about a left-wing media outlet, guys. And if you don't mind, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor, hitting that thumbs up like button. Thank you so much, guys. I'm telling you, people are getting fed up of how much the dang Democrats are fighting to keep illegal criminals in our country. But they didn't say a dang word about Jocelyn, about Laken Riley. This is disgusting.
So why does CNN want men and women in Maryland to live next to him? This so-called Maryland dad wasn't coaching girls soccer. He was human trafficking. That's what Homeland Security told us. CNN wants more human trafficking in Maryland?
I don't understand what the confusion is.
This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
The White House says, you're asking us about a citizen from El Salvador who's now living in El Salvador. Why don't you ask the president of El Salvador, who happens to be sitting right here?
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposedly not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's only
how can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course I'm not gonna do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
CNN just asked the president of El Salvador if he was going to smuggle a terrorist into the United States.
Wow.
The president of El Salvador thinks we're crazy. Democrat Senator from Maryland, Chris Van Hollen, is demanding to meet with El Salvador's Presidente. And if he doesn't get a meeting with the Presidente, he says he's going to fly to El Salvador himself. Rachel Morin was a Maryland mom. She was raped and murdered by an MS-13 member from El Salvador. And Van Hollen never flew to El Salvador to confront anyone. Van Hollen's trying to get a guy out of prison whose gang murdered Rachel Morin. Why aren't Democrats meeting with CEOs of American companies that ship jobs overseas?
It's sick.
Maybe we should be asking for those back, not an MS-13 gangbanger. What are Democrats and the media actually asking for here?
You are all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
What does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you?
Do you really
you've been writing.
Court,
I'm talking now. You need to stop. I'm talking now. Does any of you?
Why was it unanimous?
You're done.
You can't undeport a terrorist. They want us to fly a terrorist back to Maryland? What? So a judge could fill out some paperwork and send him right back to El Salvador? Or do they want to fly the terrorist back here and just have him hang around in Maryland? The president of El Salvador couldn't believe how the media was asking about returning a terrorist instead of how Trump secured the border.
Why are those numbers not in the media?
Well, they get out with the fake news, you know, like CNN over here doesn't want to put them out because they don't like putting out good numbers. They only like putting out because I think they hate our country, actually.
Ooh.
When CNN went back on the air, here's what they said.
I just want to say, for the record, since we heard President Trump say in the Oval Office that CNN hates our country, CNN does not hate our country. That should go without saying.
Maybe it doesn't go without saying. Maybe a lot of people...
Let me tell you this. You know what goes without saying, guys, is this right here. You have to, like, we don't know. There's so much corruption. There's so much messed up people in our Congress right now. This Maryland Senator, Chris Van Hollen, announced he's going to go to El Salvador to beg for the release of the MS-13 gang member we were just talking about. He says it in this video, guys. You cannot make this stuff up. They don't want to go and portray in love. And I didn't see him talking to Jocelyn's family or to Lake and Riley's family or to that lady that who had 5 kids. I didn't see them talking to their family. But yet they want to fly across the world to go for a criminal gangbanger to bring them back to the United States. This right here is not common sense. This is why the Democratic Party are losing. This is why CNN, you have to say it because it doesn't go without saying that everything that you report is towards the other side. And sometimes, you know what? You just lose. Whenever, because they side on the opposite of anything that Trump does. If Trump deports gang members, they want gang members back. Trump gives tax cuts, they want taxes, they want to put taxes in place. Trump, they talked about tariffs. Trump does tariffs, now they're against tariffs. They're always against the opposite, and it's the dumbest thing in the world, but this is where we're at right now, guys. Billy Holland, welcome to the family. Let's go. Y'all show Billy some love in the chat.
Network don't hate America, but they definitely don't love it.
Everything they're doing runs against making America great.
Well,
it was never great, so I'm not going to say the again part, but making America great.
Here's a breaking news. We live in a racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic country.
When we got our freedom, our quote-unquote freedom, we were never restored whole, which is why you hear about reparations. So until the United States atones for that and makes good on that, we're still living in a racist country.
Wow.
If America's so bad, why are millions of foreigners breaking into it? Trump's deporting so many foreign criminals that AOC's running out of friends.
We must acknowledge the terrifying moment that we are in right now. And that what we are hearing and seeing with our own eyes is, in fact, happening. We are watching our neighbors, students, and friends being fired, targeted, and disappeared. It is real.
AOC's been hanging out with the wrong people, if these are her friends.
Wow.
7 gangbangers from Tren de Agua got picked up this weekend. Not the kind of people you want to live next to. Sushi John was also iced. Who's Sushi John? He's the Chinese spy who was running a noodle shop in New Jersey.
Oh,
Trump
my
wants every
goodness.
bad hombre out.
How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador?
As many as possible.
Homan's going back to college. Florida universities are partnering with ICE to scoop out illegals. Chicago and Philadelphia are canceling Cinco de Mayo parades because they think Tom Homan's going to show up and arrest everybody.
What?
But why? Trump loves Cinco de Mayo. The taco bowls from Trump Tower are muy bueno. The president of El Salvador says keep sending them here.
Sometimes they say that we imprisoned thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions.
This isn't about the people who get sent back. It's about keeping the millions here safe.
Yes.
This is Donald Trump's octagon.
Guys, let me tell you this. What you're about to see, guys, this corruption, the amount of money that's being funneled in to the Democratic Party that is influencing our elections, our campaigns, our judges, our attorney generals, our district attorneys. It's all foreign influence, guys. I don't want to hear from any Democrat anymore about Russian hoax, Russian collusion, Trump and Russia, because you know what? This has now been exposed. $100 million of foreign influence in 25 states for the Democratic Party.
2024 report. What kinds of state initiatives were they trying to influence? What's the topic?
So it's one thing to know that this is not a hypothetical situation. We have been able to trace that, over $100 million of foreign money has flown through the 1630 fund in these states across the country, and they are working to implement some far left and extremist public policies.
Guys, please let me know what you think in the comments, in the chat. Is this not treasonous to any politician or representative that accepts this money from foreign influence to overturn and mess up America? This is so bad, and it's provable. We've got the evidence.
On issues related to abortion, election law, and other things across the country, drug policy, they are trying to sidestep the legislative process and get the most extreme version of public policy possible.
But why would they want that, Caitlin?
They want to destroy America.
Well, because they know that their far left agenda often cannot withstand the scrutiny of a typical legislative process. So they are sidestepping the legislative process, and they are getting these extreme public policy measures on the ballot, and they're using foreign dark money to do it.
So
it's a terrible problem.
Let me read this. This is a statement from the 1630 Fund to Fox. It says 1630 Fund is proud to support ballot initiative campaigns that are working to advance economic opportunity, reproductive rights, and democracy. Our donations to these initiatives are made in compliance with local, state, and federal laws. I'm assuming if these bans go into effect in other states, that would end. I'm just still trying to get to the nut of the problem here, which is, so they support a far left agenda, but what kind of things are they looking for? They want to support like reproductive rights. I'm assuming that is for more abortion access. But when it comes to, they say they want to support democracy. What would that be?
Well, when the left says the word democracy, that's their catch-all for, we're trying to do good things. But when you take a look under the hood, you realize that it's an extremist agenda.
Yes.
We saw that foreign-backed funds came into Ohio last year that would have forced the state to gerrymander their congressional districts and change the way that the state conducted elections. There is nothing democratic about using foreign dark money in these state ballot issue campaigns. And states have, woken up, to this problem and realized that their state constitutions and policies are vulnerable to the corruption that is foreign money. And that's why we have seen such momentum across the country passing these bans prohibiting foreign funds from being used in these ballot issue campaigns.
Guys, $100 million of foreign aid. I've got to show you this, guys, because you know what I love? I love receipts. I love accountability. And if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button for us, guys, this right here is a chart of the most profitable congressional traders in 2024. Guess who made $24.1 million who is in Congress in 2024? Nancy Pelosi. $17 million for Romney. Mark Warner, $11 million. Rick Scott, $8 million. Mitch McConnell, $6 million. Sarah Jacobs, $4.9 million. Sheldon Whitehouse, $4.4 million. 133 plus million from these people, guys. And you don't want to say there's no insider trading when they're beating the market by 20, 30, 40% every year? All this corruption, all this, guys, it stems from the money. You got to follow the money. Susan Jacqueline, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Said it's time for politicians and judges to have the walk of shame. Jail, no one is above the law. 100%. Michelle Eisner, thank you so much for the super chat. Said put these treasonous leaders in jail. Guys, we need to see somebody put in jail. We need to hold them to the fire because I'm telling you this, all the stuff that I get to show you, you're not seeing on mainstream media, but this stuff is what is actually happening and why we have to hold these people accountable. Check this out.
You know that the fiscal year of the United States government starts October 1st. So it starts in the fourth quarter of the calendar or the traditional financial year. As most companies, I think, report on a calendar year. The deficit that we are running, and I mean cash money. This is no accounting conventions or accounting tricks. Cash money. First half of the year, which is 1 quarter of Joe Biden, given, I guess, 1 month of his actual presidency and then a couple of months of after he was defeated and was a real lame duck. President Trump on the transition, although he had no technical power. And then 1 quarter with President Trump. Of course, we did pass the CR, and let's be blunt, there was an accommodation there to make sure that we could get in, and okay, it was supposed to be changed back in December. We didn't do that. And all of us big boys and girls said, fine, CR, it's Biden's budget, it's Pelosi's budget. We're going to take one for the team and just go. And if you watch this show, back in December, in January, I was arguing this Doge, this new thing had to be blended into OMB as an advisor and get into what's called the appropriations process, because that's really the law that comes out about what you're actually going to spend and appropriate. We then did the big, beautiful bill, and they had 25 to 40 people in the House Freedom Caucus and others that didn't want to do it, didn't want to sign up for it because of the spending cut, no spending cuts. My calculation right now in the big, beautiful bill is, hey, I'm just back of the envelope, but I think it's a $3 trillion deficit annually. And I don't want to hear about 10 years because that's all happy talk. This is a restructuring. This is a reorganization. You got to go actually you should go week by week. If you're doing it for a company, you go week by week, the cash flow every week. How we're going to get out of here. $1.3 trillion cash money. Russ Vogt joins us. Talk about public. Russ, big scoop in the New York Post. Finally, we're going to cut off these left-wing news organizations, NPR, PBS, etc. Please tell me that's true. It's just not, it's not fake news coming from the New York Post. This is real, sir?
It's real. We're ready to send up a rescissions package to Congress that includes the $1 billion rescission to Corporation for Public Broadcasting, PBS, NPR, and as you know, this is not just left-wing indoctrination, but this is worse than that. They've been at the forefront of the efforts to do on a cultural basis the type of dividing on the basis of wokeism that we've seen and had such a great deal of issue over the last 4 years. Drag queen shows and for kids. It's not just about whether they're covering Hunter Biden's laptop, which they are not. They've been at the forefront of the woke agenda, and that's finally going to come to end, hopefully, if we get Congress's vote. So we're sending a rescissions package up. It'll be $1 billion to Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which the vast majority of that is NPR and PBS, and it will be $8.3 billion in straight Doge cuts with regard to USAID. So this is all of the nonsense.
$8.3 billion of your tax dollars have been being used to fund NPR, PBS, which is been funding Drag Queen Story Hour, have been funding leftist propaganda, have been fighting Trump for the past 9 years, guys. Holy smokes, $8.3 billion is about to be cut. Let's go, baby. That's what we want. Because it's one thing if they attacked Joe Biden just as much as they attacked Trump. You know what? I would even say, hey, you know what? If they're non-biased, hey, let's see everything. But no, it's so one-sided. It's so blatant, and I'm so glad this is happening. Guys, $8.3 billion, baby, coming back to the American taxpayer. That's where it goes back to Doge, the Doge savings, the Doge checks, the Doge dividend. Guys, that's what we want.
It's the garbage, Iraqi Sesame Street. But again, go program by program. It's woke. It's funding LGBT organizations and those initiatives in other countries, which you zoom out and you wonder, why do countries hate us? Because we're funding this in their country. So we're looking forward. This is the first of the rescissions we intend to send up. More is coming, but as it pertains to this one, we want to see it passed and Congress come alongside of us and help us make sure these Doge savings are in fact permanent. And it's good to be back Steve. Back home.
We're glad to have you. Brian Kennedy, the hemispheric defense, which somebody's got to tell, hey, Pete Hegg says we got to understand the hemispheric defense. I don't know how we get $1 trillion budget on that. I'm not sure we need $1 trillion. All the way from Panama Canal to Greenland to the Arctic, out to the vast Pacific as a natural barrier to the 3 island chains. But maybe we get there because of what you're talking about. You have a special day on the Iron Dome for the United States. Is this an anti-ballistic missile system that you guys are talking about? And where do we go to get more information and actually watch this, sir?
Yes, Steve. Well, it's a golden dome, as President Trump said. And President Trump had an executive order directing the DOD to come up with a way of building a 21st century missile defense that would actually work. My colleagues at the Claremont Institute and I put together a webinar for this evening. It'll be on at 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time. It's going to discuss the whole Golden Dome concept that President Trump has advocated. Today, the United States cannot stop a single nuclear ballistic missile coming from China or Russia, or from Iran if it's from a ship off of our coast. I thought your discussion with Grant was excellent, and Grant's a brilliant guy. To underscore what you're saying, how serious can the Chinese or the Russians take us when we're going to leave the American population vulnerable to ballistic missile attack?
Guys, you see that, guys? Let me tell you this. What I love is whenever I get to show you things where we're like 2-3 days ahead of the news, guys. That's how much I'm on top of it for you. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, because what you're about to hear from the White House press secretary, I said 2-3 days ago. Because what's happening right now, guys, is some big clawbacks of your tax dollars at the federal level to give back to the American people and stop taxing everybody so dang much. James Mangini, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, what local charity do you support? Would you like to look it up before making a larger donation? It's New Beginnings, brother. So let me see. I'll put it in the chat for you. It's newbeginningsadoption.org. And guys, again, these are local charities that the majority of it goes to the actual people that need it the most. All these other big ones, we just found out that the Make-A-Wish that was given like 175 million, they, like, I think it was less than 10% of that 175 million actually went to the kids. Most of it went to, it makes me so mad, went to dang administrative costs and things like that. But I just put it in the chat, newbeginningsadoptions.org. Thank you so much, James, for your support. Guys, listen to this, because I'm telling you, with every single one of these leftist colleges, we're going to get our dang money back because they got more than enough money to pay for their stuff, and we're going to give it back to the taxpayers in the form of the Doge dividend check. Check this out.
To Harvard, the president's position on this is grounded in common sense, in the basic principle that Jewish American students or students of any faith should not be illegally harassed and targeted on our nation's college campuses. And we unfortunately saw that illegal discrimination take place on the campus of Harvard. There are countless examples to prove it, particularly with the stunning confession by then Harvard President Claudine Gay, who said that bullying and harassment depended on the context. The president at that time made it clear to the American public he was not going to tolerate illegal harassment and anti-Semitism taking place in violations of federal law. So the president made it clear to Harvard, follow federal law, no longer break Title VI, which was passed by Congress to ensure no student can be discriminated against on the basis of race, and you will receive federal funding. Unfortunately, Harvard has not taken the president or the administration's demands seriously. All the president is asking, don't break federal law, and then you can have your federal funding. I think the president is also begging a good question. More than $2 billion out the door to Harvard when they have a more than $50 billion endowment. Why are the American taxpayers subsidizing a university that has billions of dollars in the bank already? And we certainly should not be funding a place where such grave anti-Semitism exists.
Guys, you hear it. They got $50 in their endowments, and yet they got to get money from the taxpayer. And guys, I got to show you this. You're not going to see this on mainstream. Listen to what she says. This is a sitting representative out of California, Democrat.
Every single week, we have a litigation working group where a large group of us, and I'm talking there's maybe 75 members of the House, sit down every single week with the AGs to talk about legal strategy. This is all going on every single week behind the scenes. It is nonstop talk. Nonstop introduction of bills and legislation, nonstop being on social media as much as we can without being throttled and without the, crazy analytics, and doing all these things.
You hear what she just said? She just said that they are meeting every single week behind the scenes with left-wing attorney generals to employ lawfare against President Trump's agenda. G.L. Poffreyman, thank you so much for the super chat, bruh. Let's go. Y'all show G.L. some love in the chat. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. I have to show you this, guys, because we're getting some good truth out of CNN. You heard me right. But what it's doing is it's exposing these corrupt people and how they're tied to the big money, guys. Listen to this guy who is a sitting senator fumble over his words when asked if he's going to stop accepting money from billionaires. He can't even make out the words, guys. It's so bad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
Using Elon Musk as an example, but we've got problems on the Democratic side as well. And this is one of those instances, Caitlin, where I think we need to think very hard about how to overcome Citizens United. We may need a constitutional amendment to deal with it. Yeah. And other generations of Americans have amended the Constitution to get women the right to vote. Clear, they haven't said it's impossible.
You would not accept donations from billionaires going forward? Is that what you're saying?
Listen.
Well, I'm one of the very few members of the Senate who does not accept corporate PAC money, for example. If you're asking about independent expenditures of billionaires, I haven't thought that.
He doesn't know what to say, guys. Please enjoy this with me. Show me some love in the chat. Put it in the comments. Do you not appreciate this? When he gets called straight out, so you're not going to accept money from billionaires? I mean, I don't accept, but when it comes to this, and I'm just trying to say, can't even make out a single coherent sentence. Why? Because they're so corrupt, guys. That's when you know that you've got them. And this is happening on CNN.
True, because I'm not in a position to be able to make a judgment about that. I'm not sure
he's not in a position to make a judgment about it. Oh, why? Because you have received money from billionaires, you big hypocrite. Guys, I'm telling you, is this not exposing the truth? CNN, I don't think they meant to show that. I don't think they wanted to show that. But right now, we're exposing it. And I'm telling you what I love is that we're getting to see it in real time. Check this out because it's getting deeper and deeper.
On the situation the American people find themselves in, because I think this is a very dangerous and perilous time for America, because I think the American people think the fix is in. And you talk to the average person in my district, and they look at a situation where over 12 million people came into the country illegally, and there was no remedy to stop that procedurally from their elected officials. And now they look at a situation where after they had an election, they had a president that clearly campaigned on this issue, and they look at dangerous gang members who spread fentanyl that's killed over 100,000 Americans, more than died in Vietnam, more than died in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they say, well, let's get these people out of here. This is what we just voted for. And yet now there's a system where the one judge or a few judges in a certain area after judge shopping can stop. So they look at the situation and say, is there any remedy to this? I mean, what is the future of the republic if what they just voted for is something as egregious as dangerous, hardened gang members from a foreign country, in the country legal, spreading a deadly drug that is killing over 100,000 Americans? And they say, well, how is this supposed to work? So what would be your comment to these people?
Well, three quick things. First, I run a project called the America's New Majority Project. And if you ask the American people, do you think the system is corrupt? 82% say yes. Now that's really dangerous in a free society. I don't care what your ideology, what your partisanship is. When more than 8 out of every 10 of your fellow Americans think the system's corrupt, you have a deep challenge to somehow break through, really on a nonpartisan basis. Second, President Lincoln once said, with public sentiment, anything is possible. Without public sentiment, nothing is possible. And I think it's very important for every judge who thinks they want to impose themselves on the president to ask themselves, are you putting the entire judicial system in disrepute? Because if the country sees really sort of, by the standards of most Americans, fairly radical positions being taken by judges, blocking what is the clear will of the American people, not just the president, I think that it literally puts the entire underlying system under enormous stress and leads to popular dissatisfaction in a way that's very, very dangerous. The stability of the system ultimately requires that all of us find a way to work together, to behave in such a way that people no longer think the system's corrupt.
And Mr. Speaker, just finally, you referenced Thomas Jefferson, one of our founding fathers, one of the founding revolutionaries of this country, the author of the Declaration of Independence. in your opening statement. I was able to visit the White House for the first time last week and got to meet President Trump there. And as we came in, we exchanged some pleasantries, and there was a kind of a humorous moment because neither of us knew quite what to do because staff wasn't telling us. And as we had this kind of moment of silence, and he said, "Well, can I show you the Declaration of Independence?" And he turned around and it showed it to me that was on his wall. And he was very proud he just had it installed. And so it was kind of a fun moment, as you can imagine, for any American citizen, particularly a fresh member of Congress. But I hear you loud and clear, and I hope on what you think is the best remedy at this point is that Chief Justice Roberts steps in and brings some clarity and some sanity to the craziness right now. But if he didn't, and President Jefferson were sitting in the White House or the president right now, what do you think President Jefferson would do if Chief Justice Roberts wouldn't step in and help this issue?
You know, the Jeffersonians as a group were bitterly anti-judge. The number 2 demand in the American Revolution after no taxation without representation was their hatred of the British judges, because they were appointed by the king, served at the king's convenience, and were seen as the oppressors imposing the law of a foreign government on the American people. And Jefferson had grown out of that tradition. Jefferson's probably the most radical of the founding fathers. And the Jeffersonians ran essentially on cleaning up the judiciary. This is why the whole thing with Marshall is such a wonderful example of a sleight of hand. Because if you look at the Judicial Act of in 1801, after they lose the election, the Federalists passed the Judiciary Act of 1801, which creates judges, many of whom were being appointed literally the night before Jefferson sworn in. So they were called the Midnight Judges. Well, the Jeffersonians thought, we're not going to have this.
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button and showing some love to Mr. Norby in the chat for the super chat. Let's go. Thank you so much for your support.
So they write the Judiciary Act of 1802, and they wipe out, as I said at the beginning of my statement, they wipe out, I think, 16 of them, 14 of which were actually occupied. I got into this because a good friend of mine who's a great lawyer said those must have been vacant, because after all, it's a lifetime appointment. No, we went back and pulled up the biographies. These 14 guys had to go out and get a job. I mean, they were gone. And so I think Marshall knew, you pushed Jefferson very hard. I mean, a guy who buys half a continent, sends the Marines to Tripoli, you really want to play this game? And they didn't. I mean, he was if you read Marbury versus Madison, it's a brilliantly clever device in which he says, we really have this authority, but you don't have to worry about it because we ain't going to give it to him. So, you know, Marbury doesn't get his writ. Well, so he tweaked Jefferson, but he knew if he tweaked him too much, he would probably have replaced the whole Supreme Court. I mean, the Jeffersonians were very tough about this stuff. I think Jefferson also was very practical. And I think what Jefferson would say is, you've raised the issue, you've begun to get the country aware. You might consider as a first step, Chairman Issa's bill, there may be, I'm not suggesting this, but I'm responding to your question. It may be speculatively at some point that the most radical and dumbest of the decisions could lead to interrogatories to the judges, first in writing. It might even be conceivable at some point that the judges might be brought in under oath to explain what's the how did you think of this? What's the constitutional basis? Why are you doing this? I mean, there are many ways one could pursue this. My hope is that the comments we've made here today will in fact move the Chief Justice to eliminate the problem and to get back to a situation where no single district judge is an alternative president, and where we can have greater respect for the court system because the court system has greater respect for us.
Let's go.
I thank you all. It's been a long day, and although my closing statement I'll read in a...
Guys, let me tell you this. Are we not moving in the right dang direction of putting America first and calling these judges out, baby? Let's go. Look what Trump just put out. Because remember what we just told you? How much, this is going to be fun, guys. I like doing things in real time and in just showing you what's actually going to happen. Watch this. How much money does Harvard receive from other countries in donations? Because remember, you always got to follow the money, guys. Put your guesses in the chat, because Trump just came out and said perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity if it keeps pushing political, ideological, and terrorist-inspired supporting sickness. Remember, a tax-exempt status is totally contingent on acting in the public interest. Wow. So look at this, guys. I love bringing the receipts to y'all guys in real time because I just searched it. And right now, Harvard University from 2019 to 2022 received $385 million from sources in 46 countries. And you don't think that they're trying to influence our kids? You don't think that they're trying to influence what's being taught? What courses, what ideologies are being taught? Guys, this is the facts. This is what is real and actually going out there, guys. And that's why Trump just said, you know what? If all these foreign countries want to fund Harvard and push their ideologies on America, they can lose their tax-exempt status, they can lose their federal funding, and we'll see how they do. But I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, can't stand the United States under the Democrats going down in that flushing sound where the tidy bowl man is yelling for a life preserver. The laws are made for a reason. I'd like to see the laws be used for the criminals who break the laws. Why can't our laws be enforced under Republicans? Because we got a bunch of dang rhinos. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat, brother. Because I'm telling you this. We have, what I love is that our guys are fighting out there. We've got a lot of pit bulls, a lot of true patriots that are fighting. But for some reason, there was so much empathy for criminal terrorists, guys, from the Democrats. It borderlines just irrational thinking. Look at this.
Interesting discussion we've seen since Trump and J.D. Vance chewed out Zelensky back in February. Nayib Bukele is a hero in his home country. He has a 91% approval rating for commandeering a tiny, dangerous, gang-controlled left-wing dump and turning it into a remarkably safe and prosperous nation in just a matter of a few years. It's an incredible story. El Salvador was the murder capital of the world prior to Bukele. Today, it's safer than the UK, Sweden, and most of Western Europe. And again, all in a matter of just a few years, this happened. It is insane how successful Nayib Bukele has been. He is quite literally a superhero in El Salvador. Bukele built a massive prison for gang members 50 miles outside San Salvador. He's locked away tens of thousands of them. He treats them like wild animals. The video is awesome, and the people in his country love him for it.
Let's
go. El Salvador
go.
has suffered long enough to understand how the violent must be treated if you care at all about the quality of life of the peaceful, of the good, of the innocent.
Sometimes they say that we imprisoned thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions. But to liberate 350 million people, you have to imprison some. You know, that's the way it works, right? You cannot just, free the criminals and think crime is going to go down magically.
Nope.
Here in the U.S., our tolerance for crime, of course, is much higher than in El Salvador these days. The left and its media possess unimaginable sympathy for those that terrorize our quality of life, endlessly taking the side of the bad.
Guys, if you appreciate us exposing the truth, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for supporting our channel.
Eating away at their brains is quite strong. And right now you can see the disease in the coverage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an illegal alleged MS-13 gang member from El Salvador, rapidly removed by the Trump administration, one of the first to be sent out, an indication of just how dangerous they believe he is, and deported to CCOT prison a few weeks ago. You'll recall, ICE did admit that there was some sort of administrative error with his deportation. Pam Bondi clarified that, saying it was simply a clerical error in paperwork. Not enough had been done yet, but maintained that this man belonged on that one-way flight. But of course, the media went bonkers, claiming that Abrego Garcia was innocent and was not an MS-13 gang member because he said he wasn't, despite a 2019 arrest where a confidential informant labeled him as one. Last week, CNN, of course, interviewed his crying wife.
Is he still alive? Is he okay? My husband is not a gang member. He's actually an amazing father.
You're going to hear that. You're always going to get that from the wife. On Friday, the Supreme Court weighed in on this case and confused everyone, writing, "The United States acknowledges that Abrego Garcia was subject to a withholding order forbidding his removal to El Salvador and that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal." On Friday, April 4, the United States District Court for the District of Maryland entered an order directing the government to facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia to the United States by no later than midnight Monday, April 7. The application is granted in part and denied in part, but the intended scope of the term effectuate in the district court's order is, however, unclear and may exceed the district court's ruling. So all of that wrapped up into this order basically means that the Trump administration should not have sent this illegal alleged gang member to CCOT prison, but this random district judge also has no right to demand this man's return. So, confused? Yeah. Everybody is. But the second part is what the Trump administration is focusing on, and they make a really good point, a point that the media is not talking about at all. This led to some interesting moments in the Oval Office today, with the media, specifically CNN, fighting very hard for the return of an illegal immigrant who's likely a member of one of the most dangerous gangs in the world. Take a listen.
Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported?
He was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13.
When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful.
Explanation there, pretty solid. After that, CNN's White House reporter asked El Salvador's president if he intends to spring Abrego Garcia free from CCOT, from the terrorist prison, and then, I guess, send him somehow back to the United States. Here's the answer to that.
How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Guys, let me tell you this. What makes me so mad is that we have to explicitly say we cannot do certain things because the Democrats will try to get around it. That's how bad it is. President Trump, from the leading report, guys, this just broke minutes ago. President Trump set to sign an executive order prohibiting illegal immigrants from accessing any form of Social Security benefits. But this is what the Democrats say. But it's already a law. They shouldn't be able to access it. But okay, what about refugees? Did you know that we were giving Ukrainian refugees Social Security? Did you know that we're giving people out of other countries Social Security? You got to explicitly state it, or the Democrats will take advantage of it and they will run with it. Because there's no common sense in their mind right now, guys. They've got Trump derangement syndrome. And I thank God because we got the right people in the right places that will come and call out and bring some common sense to the table. Listen to this, because this is our boy, Scott Jennings.
It's an error and it wasn't a mistake. So this, I think you're speaking about their public view of the case.
I'm telling you that their view of it is that public. It's an El Salvador citizen who was sent back to El Salvador, who was in the country illegally, who, according to some people in his long process, which does include an existing deportation order, believes that he has an affiliation with MS-13. As I said, there's no version of this man's life where he comes back. And let me say one more thing. The people that want him brought back need to understand something. If the president of El Salvador releases him, and we do facilitate his return, when he lands in this country, one of two things will happen. He will be arrested, and then he'll either be sent back to El Salvador, where he is now, or some other country that I promise you don't want to go to. He's not going to be allowed to come back and live in this country as though he is a U.S. citizen.
That's literally the definition of tyranny, right? So here's what's going to happen. We're going to throw him in jail. No, there's a thing called the rule of law and due process, which has not been followed in this case. And if I have a slightly optimistic take on this, I actually think this is going to come back to bite the Trump administration, because what's going to happen is the next time this goes up the court system, they have absolutely zero credibility to say, don't worry, you can file a habeas petition, you can get your person back. The courts are not going to allow this to happen. And the idea that the Trump administration has the right of fiat to just decide to ship somebody off to another country, that is fundamentally opposed to everything a constitutional democracy
They have the ability to deport people who have deportation orders. Do they not?
He has
that process. He has a deportation order.
But then why didn't they make that argument?
Withholding of his removal order. So he was in the country.
Why did he have a withholding?
Because an immigration judge ruled that.
But why? What was the argument? Because he was fearful of a gang that hasn't existed in El Salvador for 4 years. There's more of that gang in Los Angeles than there is in El Salvador.
That's not for us to decide.
You see that, guys? I'm telling you, the common sense does not exist right now on one side of the party for the entire, half of the United States. Trust me, I got family members that are not MAGA, they're Democrat, and when I see things, I'm just like, I don't know. It's just like they truly believe what they're saying, and it breaks my heart, because to me, I'm America first, and I have family, and if people say, well, you got to remember where you come from. Let me tell you this. I was born in the dang United States, which means I'm an American, which means America comes first to me. My kids are Americans. Do I have Mexican descent? Yes. Do I have Spaniard descent? Guys, I did the 23andMe. I've got South African descent. I've got Jewish descent. But guess what? I am an American. And America comes first. Your country comes first. If I was born in Mexico, I would say they came first. If I was born in Israel, I would say Israel comes first. But guess what? When it comes to putting Americans first, that's what we got to do for the safety of us and our families. 100%. Because I love this, guys. I love it. And I don't know. I'm telling you, CNN's trying to be more like Fox. They're trying to get better ratings because of who they're bringing on, because people know that they like them. Listen to this.
Thank you, sir. Your state exported $10 billion worth of goods to China just last year, more than it shipped to any other country. In 2023, Louisiana's overall export of goods accounted for more than 30% of your GDP. This is all according to the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative. How worried are you about this trade war with China and its potential impact on the jobs of hardworking families in your state?
Well, we don't know yet. I listened to your prior guest, the gentleman you interviewed, predict that civilization is going to melt, and I don't see any indication of that. I heard you comment about Mr. Dalio saying that the world economic structure is going to break down. I don't see any indication of that. The dollar's a little bit weaker and interest rates have gone up. Here's what I see. I see a lot of uncertainty. And I think to some extent, it's intentional. If you listen to the president's aides weekend before last and then listen to them this weekend, you don't have to be Einstein's cousin to figure out they were saying things that were inconsistent. Now, that raises one or two possibilities to me. Either it's intentional or these folks aren't competent to manage a food truck. Now, I know them. They're intelligent people, whether you agree with them or not. So I think the administration, for whatever reason, is obfuscating a little bit. Maybe it's part of the president's negotiating strategy. I just don't know. I do know this.
Tariffs are important, but so are high prices. The trade balance is abstract. The price of eggs is concrete. And we need to be spending a lot of time on reconciliation, redesigning the tax code, deregulating the economy, reducing spending to get prices down. That's it. Is at least as important as tariffs, in my opinion.
Well, let's talk about the so-called big, beautiful bill President Trump is urging Congress to pass, which will lay out most of the president's agenda, including tax cuts that you just mentioned, additional border security, and more. The House of Representatives passed its framework last week. You're now calling for a 60-day deadline to hash everything out before calling in President Trump. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, he wants to get the bill to the president by Memorial Day. Are you confident that the House, the Senate, and the White House can make a deal on what should be included?
Here's what I think will happen, for what it's worth. And before I leave the subject, just remember, Jake, that there's no tariff fairy that you can go to get instructions on how to do this. This stuff's more art than science, and I think we're living that experience. Now, to answer your question, Mike Johnson did a great job getting the House on board. Here's what I predict will happen. Mike and John Thune in the Senate will give their bodies 30 to 60 days to try to come to a consensus on what's going to be in the bill. We won't. It'll be like herding butterflies. We'll end up having to go to the president, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, and say, Mr. President, arbitrate this. Tell us what you think should be in, what should be out. And then President Trump is going to have to go sell it. Otherwise, I think we could spend a year on this and get nothing done. Sometimes we do spend a year and get nothing done. That's not a good thing. I mean, the economy needs a little boost right now in light of all the tariff uncertainty and the reconciliation bill, and designing a tax code to stimulate growth, and designing a tax code that looks like somebody designed it on purpose can fit that bill, in my opinion.
So you just talked about the need for President Trump to explain whatever is agreed upon. I have heard from Republicans on this show and others saying that they didn't think President Trump, as great as a communicator as they think he is normally, fully explained what he is trying to do with these tariffs. In other words, yes, he has talked a lot about tariffs, but the idea that he is seeking to reshore manufacturing to the United States, and that this is going to be a difficult period, and that there are going to be higher prices, and on, that has not been, in their view, adequately communicated to the American people. What do you think?
Well, here's what I think. I see what you see. I think I know what's in the president's heart, but I don't know what's in his head. The people you're talking about are right. The administration has not given one clear rationale for its tariffs. I think that's intentional. That I don't know. It's strategy. My guess is it's intentional.
Yes.
And that it is part of the president's negotiating strategy.
There you go.
Jake, I don't want to feign understanding here. I don't know. But that's my best guess, knowing how the president operates.
Republican Senator John.
Guys, let me tell you this. When it comes to strategy, you never show your cards. You always make sure you have the utmost leverage. What's new? Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Said we love your patriotism, Joel. Y'all show what's new some love in the chat. As well as Angela Broom. Thank you so much for the super chat. Said remove former president sent Secret Service paying Social Security clearance to help save people's money. Let's go. Renee Sanders, welcome to the family. Guys, y'all show Angela and Renee some love in the chat. Basic ways the government steals your money. Guys, I love seeing this stuff because not enough people actually see it visually. We live it, but we don't see it. If you earn it, you get income tax. If you live somewhere, property tax. Spend it, sales tax. You save it, inflation tax. Invest it, capital gains tax. Start a business. Guys, Start a business in Tennessee, you got to go get an LLC. Guess what? That costs $300. If you own a good business, you got to pay profits. You got to pay taxes on the profits. If you give it away, it's a gift tax. And if you die, they get you one more time with that inheritance tax. This is why we need tariff reform. This is why we need reform in Washington, because all they can think about is taxing our butts to the high heavens to get as much money as they can to fuel their political agendas and give money to other countries and all this stupid stuff that is not putting America first, guys. This is why we fight, is because this is, if we don't, it'll just keep getting worse. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family, guys. We want to take care of you every day with the top news. It means the world to us that you watch us, that you view us, you share these videos, guys. We just want to bring the truth. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much to everybody that is a member of the channel. Guys, we couldn't do it without you. Your continued support means the world to us. And like I said, we'll be donating to New Beginnings this month again. It is, they help out with finding kids who have no families, forever homes, helping mothers that have no options get options. Because guys, we want babies, and we want to take care of them, and we want them to grow up in good homes. And it matters to me. And it should matter to everybody. We need to continue growing America, and that means having kids, guys. I think I did my part. I got 3. But I want to say thank you so much, Sherry Garcia, for the super chat. So he said, nations mistook America's kindness for weakness. They 100% did. I want to give some love to Billy Holland, Susan Jacqueline, Michelle Eisner, James Mangini, Gia Poffreman, Bella Scott, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, What's New, Angela Broom, Renee Sanders, Sherry Garcia. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. Guys, these people like Mr. Norby, What's New, guys, their giving and support of this channel means the world to us. And y'all show them some love. We just want to continue the giving, continue growing the giving, continue growing this community. And it's all because of you. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.